the average buyer, we also know that the average buyer, we also know that the average seller knows more than one real estate agent. So, how do we provide value in such a way that not only do we eventually get market share, but that we build ourselves mind share in the eyes of the consumer? So I'm going to say that again, and I'm going to say it in a different way. Before we can get market share, we first have to get mind share. And the way we do that is by telling stories. The way we do that is by delivering a message. And the way we do that is by providing value before it's needed. By providing value before it's needed. So I'm going to share 5 things with you today that I believe every realtor should have in their content toolbox, whether you're writing a blog post, whether you're putting together a direct mailing piece, whether you're creating an Instagram post, whether you're creating video content. It doesn't matter what the content lever that you choose to create is. These five pieces, these 5 pieces should be in every realtor's toolbox. So let's start with content piece number 1, and this is your unique selling proposition, your USP. Now, what is a USP? What is our unique selling proposition? This is the "Why should I work with you" video. This is the "Why should I work with you" post, email. Okay. People don't care what you do until they understand why you do it. People don't care what you do until they understand why you do it. So why should somebody work with Mike? Why should somebody work with Nelson? Why should somebody work with Rich? Right? We have a unique selling proposition. We have a USP that we need to be able to deliver and execute on. Now, how do we create this? This can't be, well, I guess it could. I don't think it should, but I guess it could. I don't believe this should be the "I'm so great at my job, I sell 100 homes a year, look how great I am." I don't believe this is "look at me" marketing. I believe our USP, our unique selling proposition, should be why, when they work with you, their life becomes better. Why, when they work with you, is the buying process going to be easier? Why, when they work with you, does selling their home become less of a hassle? This is the value that you're bringing to the table that has nothing to do with professional pictures, that has nothing to do with "I do a listing video." This has nothing to do with "I have this many Facebook friends." This is what happens to their life when they choose to hire you. That's what makes you unique. This is the, yes, I might sell 100 homes and I might be number 1 in my market, but when you hire me, we're going to take all of the stress off the table, and we're going to position your home so that not only do you get the most amount of money in the fastest amount of time, but that before there's an issue, it's already been solved. The second piece of content that I believe we need to create outside of our USP is what X gets you in Y. Okay, so that's your math formula. What X gets you in Y. So I'm in Cleveland. I have a lot of people here that are moving to Cleveland for jobs, whether medical or whatever. There are a lot of Sherwin-Williams is headquartered here, Progressive Insurance is headquartered here, 3M is headquartered here. We have two of the best hospitals in the country here. People are moving here, and sometimes I don't understand why, because I tried to leave and then I came back, right? But the video or the content is what X gets you. So what does $500,000 get you in the city of Cleveland? What does $800,000 get you in Sarasota, Florida? What does $100,000 get you where you live? That should be a piece of content, because buyers are searching online for what can I buy for $300,000 in X city. That's how they're searching. So the video, what does $300,000 get you in Cleveland, is a search criteria that a home buyer is using. So what does X get you in Y? Now, what I would do with this in particular is I would make this a video, and I would do it two different ways. I would, one, if I'm a listing agent, I would have a video tour created about my listing that says, what does $500,000 get you in Broadview Heights, Ohio? And it's, hey, it's Rich. It's Realtor Rich Ganem, and I'm about to show you what $500,000 gets you in Broadview Heights, Ohio. Come, let's take a tour. And I'm going to do a video tour of the property, right? If I'm a buyer, what I might do is very similar to what we're doing this morning on Zoom. I might pop in and say, hey, Realtor Rich Ganem here, and I'm about to take you on a tour of what $500,000 can buy you here in Northeast Ohio. I'm going to share my screen. Let's show you what's available. And you're going to do a high-level overview of a couple different cities, right? What does X get you in Y? Now, this next one, number 3, is something that I believe you need to have as a database of content for your clients when they decide to hire you to list their house, or when they decide to hire you to purchase their next one. And this is a here's what happens next video. A here's what happens next video. And what I love about this is you can take a here's what happens next video and have it transcribed, and now you have it in an email that you can embed the video on with the text below it. It can sit on your website where you have the video and the text below it, so that you can then go right in, and when they hire you for the job of selling their home or for finding their next one, you can send them the link of here's what happens next. And this is going to be a detailed video. This is going to be a detailed video, and what we want this video to do is evergreen. We want to create evergreen content so we don't have to do it over and over and over again. We set it and we forget it. And the only time we will ever need to recreate this is if our system or our processes change. So what this is going to look like is this is going to be a video, and it might start off with, congratulations, I am so excited to get to work for you on the sale of your home. Here's what's going to happen next. My team is going to work behind the scenes to coordinate photography. Once photography is scheduled, we're going to bring in a stager. So it's going to offer you a free staging consultation to help your rooms of your house appear as large as they can for pictures. And we're just going to go detail by detail over here's what happens next. If most sellers, and Russ talked about this yesterday, most sellers are moving every 8 to 9 years. Is it possible that the last time they sold their house, they don't remember all the details of what went into it? Probably. So by having a here's what happens next, this is your opportunity to, one, not forget what happens next, and two, let them know so they don't have to ask you, hey, what's next? Hey, what's next? Hey, what's next? Here's what happens next video. You want one for your buyers. You want one for your sellers. You want one for after a buyer's consultation. Hey, it was really great to meet you to discuss the process by which we're going to take to buy your next home. Here's what happens next. My team is going to set you up on an automated search directly from the multiple listing service so that you find out about the homes that hit the market before I do. Why do you find out about the homes before I do? Because it's that important to me that you don't miss out on a house because I was in an appointment. I want you to see the homes first. Guys, we know that a buyer is going to find the house before you're going to see it. We know that. They have search criteria set up on Zillow. Every time that thing dings, they're pulling out their phone and looking. You're not in the MLS every day. You're out with buyers. You're out with sellers. You're on this call, right? A home, their dream home could come on the market and you don't know about it because you have a day packed full of appointments. You want them to find out before you do. And then you're going to say, when your dream home comes on the market, you're going to find out before I do. And I want you to text me that you want to see 123 Main Street so that I can make sure I get you in that house as quickly as I can. You're teaching them how to treat you when they find the house they want to see. You're going to take this approach with every single buyer, with every single seller, every single time. Because we're going to build systems for how we operate our business so that we are not fly-by-night realtors and so that we have the ability to live a life that we choose to live by design, not by default. Make sense? In these videos, here's how you can reach me. You can reach me by email. You can text me 24/7, or you can call me. My hours of business working times are this time to this time. We're setting the expectation for here's how this is going to go when you choose to hire me for the job of whatever that is, listing or selling. So that's the third piece of content that we're going to create. The fourth piece of content that I believe goes miles and miles far beyond anything that we could do. Again, what we want to do is evergreen our content so that we only have to do it once. How many times has a buyer gone under contract on their house and asked you, do I need to have a home inspection? How many times has a buyer gotten their intro packet from the title company or the attorney's office asking if they should buy the additional closing protection for $50 or $100? How many times has a buyer asked you what the purpose of an appraisal is? I want you to take 30 minutes today and write down all of the questions that you've been asked in the last month. I want you to write them down. Then I want you to circle all of the questions you've been asked more than once. The questions that you've been asked more than once are the first pieces of content you're going to create. Then you're going to go and you're going to create the next content, the next pieces of content. And what I would do is this is your opportunity to showcase your vendors. This is your opportunity to bring in another expert that you work with to, one, promote them, but two, to take it off of your plate. So for example, why do I need a home inspection? That video would look, I would take my phone out and I would do, whether you do a tripod or somebody holds it, I would create a piece of content with my home inspector and it would say something like this. Hey, Realtor Rich Ganem here, and I'm with my preferred home inspector, Tom. Tom, I get a question asked all the time, and it's, why do I need a home inspection? From your professional opinion, after doing thousands of inspections, what are 3 of the best reasons why somebody needs to get a home inspection? And then they answer the question. And then you have that piece of content that can now sit on Instagram, sit on YouTube, sit on Facebook, so that when a buyer asks, hey, why do I need a home inspection? You can say, you know what, that's a really great answer. That's a really great question. I actually met with my home inspector and asked him what from his perspective, why you should get a home inspection. Here's his answer. Do the same thing with homeowners insurance. Do the same thing with title insurance. Any question that you get asked more than once needs to have a video. And I would argue any question you've been asked at least once could and should be a video. Because then now you have content that you can, one, share on social media. You have content here that you can share during your email newsletters. And you can now house it on your website and drive people back to it in your Here's What Happens Next. Right? So on your in your Here's What Happens Next page on your website, you can have why I need a home inspection in Here's What Happens Next. You're under contract. Now it's time to schedule a home inspection. Here's why you should have one. Insert video of home inspector talking about the benefits of a home inspection. Following the fourth piece of content that I believe you should have, and we are starting this actually, we're starting this here in the second quarter here in Cleveland, and these are client reviews. Client reviews. Now, I'm sure you're all amazing, and I'm sure you're all the best realtor in town and the best realtor you know. But when somebody says, why should I work with you? It goes back to your USP. Why should I work with you? Well, isn't it easier to say, you know what, that's a really great question. I just worked with Bob and Sally. Here's what they had to say about their experience working with us. People are going to research you before they hire you. When you go on a listing appointment, bet your butt you've been Googled. Bet your butt they've read your reviews. And yet, one piece that we miss is the aspect of why should somebody work with you from the client perspective. We know we're great. We know that we're really, really good at what we do. Otherwise, we'd be doing something else. But how do we take how great we are and put it out in such a way that it's not me saying, I'm the greatest realtor in Cleveland, here's why you should hire me. But instead, we're now sitting at the closing table, and they have their packet of paper to sign on the sale of their house. And you're sitting there with Bob and Sally, and as they're signing their paperwork, they raise their head and they say, babe, I can't believe that we hired Rich and had the results that we did. Can you imagine what it would have been like if we would have hired somebody else? And then Sally says, you know what, Bob, that's a really great point. Rich was able to get us so much more money than what we thought we could do. He did it in such a quick manner, and he took all of the hiccups off of our plate. I couldn't imagine having hired another realtor. That goes far beyond the just sold post that we're going to put about how we listed 123 Main Street, and in 6 seconds we had multiple offers and it sold for $80,000 more than it was listed for, and blah, 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 blah. We're taking the emotion that the client has and we're putting it audibly and visibly for the next consumer. Watch your commercials. Watch your commercials for some different companies. They do this. And while it might be an actor portrayal, they're still having somebody talk about what the experience was before they hired them and what life was like after they hired them. That's the fifth piece of content. Now, how in the hell are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? So I'm going to share with you a story, and I want you to think about who this is. I'm going to share with you a story, and I want you to think about who this is. Luke leaves his home after losing his family. He discovers the dark side is threatening the galaxy. He meets Yoda, who trains him to become a Jedi. He then executes the plan, defeats the Death Star, saves the galaxy, and becomes a hero. Who did I just describe? I just described Luke Skywalker to you. But I didn't tell you all of the things that happened. I just shared with you the highlights. What I want you to learn, and this is a big process, and this takes time, and this is not something that you're going to learn and master overnight. I want you to learn a hero's journey. I want you to learn a hero's journey. And I want you to do it because for years and years and years, from probably since the beginning of time, storytelling is a very, very easy way to share why somebody is awesome, to share why things happen, right? So in the framework of the hero's journey, there are a lot of things that take place. The hero's journey involves a character who is the hero, who goes on an adventure to find something. While on the journey, the hero experiences a problem that he doesn't know how to overcome. In the midst of a problem, the hero finds a guide who offers him a plan. In our industry, are we the hero or are we the guide? Does your marketing material make you the hero or make you the guide? I want you to look at everything we do from a marketing standpoint, from a storytelling standpoint, through the eyes of a hero's journey. I want you to do that because when we learn to storytell through a hero's journey, what we're doing is we're allowing the client to be the hero. They had a problem. They set out to find a solution. They met me. I offered a plan. They executed the plan. They had the result. I'm a for sale by owner. I need to sell my house. I've listed it for sale. Nobody's buying it. I met Rich. Rich offered a plan on how to put the most eyeballs on the property as possible. When we did that, when we put most eyes on the property as possible, we were able to procure an offer that was suitable and acceptable to the seller. They were then able to sell their house. Without Rich and his plan, I wouldn't have sold my house. Follow the storytelling there. This is a process that takes time to think about. And yet when we approach our marketing through the eyes of a hero's journey, we allow the champion to be our client. And the result they got is because of you, who is the guide. The reason your seller was able to get multiple offers and sell their home for top dollar in a market where inventory has been sitting on average for 66 days, if you're in certain parts of Florida, you're the guide. You offered a plan, they executed the plan and got the result. Excuse me. So the last thing I want to share with you are some different things that you can do in terms of creating certain content and creating certain context around the content you're going to create. And what I want to share with you is what's called the hook. Now, when we create content, especially on social, we're getting bombarded with content. I don't know if you would agree with that, but we're getting bombarded with content in the world of Instagram Reels and TikToks and Facebook Reels. It's very easy to swipe. It's very easy to swipe and see something but not catch the attention. The way we catch attention and the way we get people to watch our content is by providing a hook. Your content should start with a hook. So it could be, follow this step-by-step process to successfully sell your home in less than 30 days. I'm Realtor Rich Ganem, and I'm going to share with you a detailed step-by-step process on how I'm going to help you sell your home for 30 days in less than 30 days. Let's check this out. Content starts. Another hook. This hack will save you hours in preparation to get your home ready for the market. If you work with buyers, 5 red flags that you should know before you buy a flipped property. 5 mistakes you're making when you hire blank. 5 mistakes you're making when you do X. Here's my go-to blank for blank. 5 things you can do right now to increase your home's value. 5 things you can do right now to increase your curb appeal. This is why your house isn't selling by yourself. George, you got your hand up. Go ahead.
Rich, I'm writing down notes when I'm doing this, and everything. The content is amazing, and I jumped in a couple minutes late. I guess my question is, it immediately jumps out that I could actually pose this question to the universe on my social media page, and start bringing in some additional conversations as well. I know you're talking about, using this as answering questions, but it would also, I think, engage people. I'm thinking, that's awesome. I want to use that. I want to put that out there so people start talking to me. Am I wrong in that thought process?
No, I definitely think that you can use it on social to create engagement, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Solid stuff.
I go to I go, if you go in the 90s, there was the Coke versus Pepsi challenge, right?
Mhm.
And it's highly debated and everybody has an opinion, and if yours isn't mine, it's wrong. The exact same is with Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts. And then you throw McDonald's coffee in there or some gas station coffee, and now you got people like fighting over my coffee is better than your coffee, even though it's the exact same bean, and one just burns the shit out of it and one doesn't, right? You use this to create different opportunities. So like I sit here and I wonder, like, um which picture do you think looks better? One that you took from your phone and one that a professional took, and using that as a conversation piece. Everything we do can create engagement. So like if I wanted to do like if I wanted to create a hack, right? If I had a hack that was able to, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but like there, if what, well, let me ask you guys, what is a hack that that gets results that once people try it, they can't untry it? What comes to your mind? Nothing. No hacks. Okay. No hacks. So
A
think of some.
diet
Go
plan,
ahead.
a diet plan, maybe like a
Sure.
hack, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How to lose 10 pounds in, I don't know, a month.
So you take how to lose 10 pounds in a month. The fitness and weight loss industry is perfect at a hero's journey. I have a problem. I need to lose 10 pounds. I found this. There was a plan. I bought the plan. I executed it, and I either did or I didn't lose weight. That's the hack. So here your hack is, have you ever tried X and got this result? And now you're engaging people. So you're posting it and you're getting engagement and you're commenting and you're asking people. There's a way to do this in such a way that, one, you're creating content that evergreens, but you're also creating engagement with your followers. And I think that was George's point, is that you're able to use this to create engagement. And that's the goal. That's the goal. What questions do you have? What questions do you have on the 5 pieces of content, a hero's journey, or the hooks?
Rich, there's a book that I read a while ago, and it actually flashed back into my brain when you were talking about this, and it's really hooks, and it's called Hook Point. Have you read it?
I have not. I've heard of it, but I have not read it.
So, and I apologize, I'm multitasking, which means I'm not doing anything very well, but I'm kind of focused at this point. You brought me back in because this was like resonating to me on business building, better communication. Everything about this is ideal. Think of it this way: in everything we communicate, we want to put in some form of attention grabber. It happened to me. I'm working on this project while listening, and all of a sudden I'm like, all right, you have my undivided attention. Hook Point talks about the psychology behind that. It's an absolute must read for anybody that uses any form of social media, or that has children, or that has a spouse, or that wants to get in a relationship. Because we have to pull back. As you very clearly said, there's so much interference, we have to pull back. If you read the book Hook Point, you'll find that there's so much to support what Rich is just brought up, and also to have people refocus back on you at the perfect timing, making you an expert. There's just, I'm sorry I was multitasking. I should have been writing a lot more notes. This is brilliant. I'm going to watch it again this afternoon when I'm driving. This is awesome. Don't do that. I'll listen to it while I'm driving.
No, you're good. You're good. So I'm going to give you the framework for a video. And I'm not going to give you any of the content. I'm just going to give you the framework on how I would build it, so that when you go to create your content, you know how to build the framework for it. You're going to start off with the hook. The hook is number 1. And the hook is, three ways to sell your home for the most amount of money. 3 backyard hacks to create your dream oasis. 5 things to think about when you're buying a home. These are the reasons why you don't want to buy a flip. Why getting a cash offer is the best way to start the home selling process. Okay, that's your hook. I then want you to go from hook right into introduction. And that's going to be 3 ways to increase your curb appeal before you sell your house. I'm Realtor Rich Ganem. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you need to increase your curb appeal to increase the value of your house. Okay, so hook, introduction. From hook, we then go to introduction we then go to supporting facts. If you're wanting to sell your home for top dollar, here are 3 things that you can do to increase your curb appeal. I'm Realtor Rich Ganem, and with these 3 pieces of information, you're going to increase your curb appeal and allow your home to sell for more money. Let's start. We all know that a buyer's going to drive by your home, and if the curb appeal isn't there, they're going to keep on driving. They're not going to want to go inside. By laying a fresh coat of mulch, or picking the weeds, or cutting the grass, or whatever, we're going to give supporting information. The supporting information gives facts. It's a statement, it's an opinion, and it's the content of why we want them to keep going back to the hook. Okay? So once we have the supporting information, we then want to give them a testimonial or an example of why this works. Give evidence. We had a client that their home looked like this. They took the 3 tips and now their home looks like this. Go back to the weight loss journey. Every single one of these commercials, there's the before and there's the after, and in the middle is what happened. Here's the hero's journey. There's the guide. I was here. I want to get to here. I needed this to get me there. And then you're going to end it with a call to action. This is the comment blank in the captions. Like, subscribe, call me, text me, email me. What do you want them to do? You have the call to action. And then from the call to action, you're going to then go, and that's going to be the end of it. So you're going to go hook, introduction, content, testimonial or example, call to action. Every single video that you do, every piece of content that you should create should have those pieces in it. It takes a lot of time. I encourage my people that work with me to spend 15 minutes a day trying to write copy, trying to write content. Because the only way, and this goes the same with, if you know anybody that likes to make ribs or pork butt or brisket, the only way to make good barbecue is to make bad barbecue. The more bad barbecue you make, the better the barbecue ends up being. The only way to make good content is to first make bad content, because we take it and then we learn from it, and we then build, we then build better.
Rich, can I add something in here?
Yeah.
So I've had an opportunity to speak to a lot of people. I know you have as well. We do this, and we're committed to it. And I'm going to question you on this one. When you first started doing something like this and really kind of putting yourself out where you were an authority, is it fair to say that you sucked at it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so me too. And now that y'all listening to Rich and you're like, wow, how is he such a great orator? How can he communicate so well? And he did, because his brisket sucks, or did, and now it's really good. And the thing is, though, because we've done this as well. Now, if some of you don't know, my wife was a news anchor, so she's literally a professional on camera, and I'm standing next to her as a fat, bald guy with crooked teeth. Okay. So there's nothing redeeming about this. I've been told I have a face for radio. That's the truth. But if you just continue doing it, the only person that cared how I looked was me. Rich, far better looking, far more hair, grows a beard better than I do. But we talk the same, so we can stand side by side, but it's only because we've practiced. And that's what I want you guys to get, that if you just say, I'm going to do it, the only person judging you is going to be you. And you're a bad critic of yourself. Do the effort, put the time in. You'd be amazed what happens when people call you, oh my God, that was such good information. You're like, didn't you see my pimple? No, they don't care. You're okay. You're actually better than okay. You have guidance. You know what to say. He's giving you the hook, the format at which it goes through. So just write it down and practice it a little bit. You can do this, and you'd be amazed what happens. The communication is the most important thing we do at this point. And this is just a really powerful lesson in how to go about doing it. Sorry, I had to throw that in there, Rich. I just think this is such a valuable topic for everybody going forward.
Well, and thank you for that input, right? And so you have Jackie that can help you write your content. So you're at that distinct advantage. The only thing she can't do is make you more attractive, right? Just we won't hold that against her. She can be perfect in a lot of different ways. But so
You rat bastard.
There's a podcast that just came out on the Ed Milet show. Is his podcast. He did an interview with Layla Hermosi. I don't know if you guys know Alex Hermosi, but he's one of the thought leaders in the entrepreneur space, big on Instagram and social. His wife, Layla, has just recently gotten into creating content in probably the last like 8 months. And she did this interview with Ed Milet, and it's a pretty vulnerable interview in terms of the way she explains how she was so nervous to create the content, and that once she got over the fact that it's going to suck before it gets better, you almost have to embrace the suck, right? Like, if anybody's ever started to run, that's probably the most like humiliating and like thing in the entire world, because you're like, I just bought these new shoes. I'm going to kick ass. I'm going to go run 3 miles. It's going to be awesome. And then I'm going to run a marathon. And you're going and you're like, you haven't even made it down the driveway yet. And you're like, this sucks. Why do people want to do this? And then you run a little bit more and you turn the volume up on your headphones a little bit higher. And the next thing you know, like after like the first week, you can actually run like a half a mile without stopping and being out of breath. And then after week 2, you get to that first mile. And you're like, this is pretty cool. And then next thing you know, you can run 5 miles without losing your breath, and like you actually kind of enjoy it. This is the exact same thing. Where we struggle as people is we don't ever want people to see us struggling, because social media has come out and said, look how perfect I am. But if you go back and watch Wine Library TV when Gary Vee in 2009 started putting out content, it was terrible. So like we're judging somebody's chapter 14 by our chapter 1, and we're like, I suck, I can't do this. But you have to go back to their chapter 1 and go, okay, they started somewhere too. Right? Like the last analogy that I'll share with you is, you've either done this, you've all done this because you can all walk. You've either done this, or you've seen a child do this, or you're going through it right now. When a child learns to walk, they first have to they first like army crawl, then they can get their butt up in the air, and now they're on their hands and their arms and their legs, and they're crawling. Then they have to pull themselves up on furniture, and they can learn how to stand. Then they take a single step and fall. And then that single step turns into 2, and then they fall. And then 3, and then they fall, right? And along the way, as parents, we celebrate every single time that kid falls. We celebrate it because they're trying and they're failing. They're trying and they're failing. And then the next thing you know, they're running around the house. You can't stop them. They are not listening. And you have this toddler that thinks they can do everything by themselves. Right? This is no different. The only thing that's different, the only thing that changed, is you have a voice in your head that says you're not allowed to fail. You have a voice inside your head that says, I'm not allowed to try new things. You have a voice inside your head that says, I'm not good enough. I'm not tall enough. I don't have enough hair. I'm not good looking. We have all these voices in our heads that are giving us reasons why we shouldn't do something, instead of all the reasons why we should. Instead of all the reasons why we should. 2 things that I'm going to share with you, and then we're done, because I've gone on a tangent. I've gotten completely away from this, and I'm going to leave you with 2 things. I want you to go and I want you to get the book, The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. And I want you to read that book. In The 5-Second Rule, she also has a podcast, The 5-Second Rule. Anytime something bad happens, you have 5 seconds to live in the misery, and then you got to change your mindset. Anytime you want to do something and you have a limiting belief, you have 5 seconds to flip the switch. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. That's the basis of the 5-second rule. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to go to Google, and I want you to type in Michelle Polar. MICHELLEPOLAR. She just wrote a book. She's a motivational speaker. She's wild and crazy. She dances on stage. And her question to you is, instead of thinking about what can go wrong, What happens if we start thinking about what can go right? Taking the 5-second rule, pairing it with Michelle's polars, instead of what can go wrong, what can go right. If we adopt that mindset in everything that we're doing from a content standpoint, in anything we're doing from a marketing standpoint, in anything we're doing with our spouse, because this doesn't have to just be about real estate. This can be about our lives. Instead of thinking about what can go wrong, let's start thinking about what can go right. Guys, I hope you have an amazing Friday and an amazing weekend. We shared 5 pieces of content with you that I think every agent should have. It's creating a unique selling proposition, why somebody should work with you. We then said we should create content about what X gets you in Y. So pick a dollar amount and a city, create that content. You're then going to go and you're going to create pieces of content on here's what happens next, from a buyer's perspective and from a seller's perspective. You're then going to partner with your vendors to create a what is blank video. What is title insurance? What is a home inspection? Why do I need this? Tell me about that. Do I need to buy a house with 20% down? Can I buy a house with 0% down? Think of all of those questions that you get asked. We're going to create content with that. We're then going to ask our clients at the closing table or at the final walkthrough or whenever to give us a 30-second clip on what their experience was like working with you. I want you to study a hero's journey. I want you to practice writing your hooks. I want you to Google the Mel Robbins podcast. I want you to listen to the Layla Hermosi podcast with Ed Milet. And I want you to Google Michelle Polar. It's a lot of stuff on this Friday, but fortunately it's 9:20. You have the whole day ahead of you. I hope you have an amazing weekend. If there's anything I can do, do not hesitate to reach out. You can follow me on Instagram, all of the things. You can find me anywhere. I'm here to be a resource for you and your business. Go out and have an amazing day. Take care, guys.